Alright, Falta Rash, welcome back. So the last video was a bit of a spin for this gold belly. The longest spin I've ever had it on. Covered a good few mile, about 10 mile I'd say at least, if not more. And I'm hoping to bring it to an agricultural show on Derrashachna Shachun, so next weekend. So one thing that I haven't actually done, and I probably should have done it before now, realistically, is just to run around a few of the grease points on it. Even these, because I don't think I ever shot a dart of grease in those at all. So with that in mind, I'm just going to, because I have never actually greased these, I'm just going to remove them. Because a lot of the time when they're sitting, and there can be dirt and all, and rust and all of that, you'll find that they don't want to allow grease through them. So I'm going to have a go at taking these two out. So I'd say, judging by the look of him, he's a 5/16. Some of them are 3/8. So we'll just take a look at him. There's usually a spring in them. So we'll see, can we get this lad to allow grease through him. So I'll take him out with the snouty. So what I usually do straight away anyway, regardless of, I know before I test him, is just to make sure that grease looks right here, that there isn't dirt in there. Give him a little clean out as well. Okay. And then into the vice, and the reason I say this is, if you push this into the grease gun, it can actually be really hard to take it out, and you'll end up destroying the threads by pulling them with pliers. So that's that there. I don't know, is it going to be possible for you to see the grease coming through it? Hopefully now. We'll put a nice little dollop of it through, it might be visible. Yeah, there you can see that there. And of course, as you can see there, it's not always as easy taking the bloody thing out of the nip. So we're just going to have to get a good grip on it in the vice around the nut part of it there, because we don't want to go grabbing threads. And usually Jesus, it really does get a nice grip on it. There we go. So now we should be able to refit him. We're happy that he's allowing grease through him. This is just one of them things, I suppose. You do it once, and hopefully then it's done for a long time. We just don't want to be going pumping dirt on into where we want grease. And of course this will keep the water out. So I'll move this out of the way. This will keep the water out of it. That's what we want. And we just rebuilt one of these on the 20 diesel. Okay, so we're going to do the same for the one below it here, because we had a great fun on the 20 diesel. I got an original one of these, and this was so rusted onto it that I actually had to slit it with an angle grinder and actually get it off that way. Now I did put up a video of when I finally got another original one of these for it. That's coming out nice and easy. So we'll do the same thing with this. Let's see, it didn't feel like there was a spring in that other one. This is the same size, 5/16. Normally there's a spring, and that allows, there's a little ball in there that allows it back. It pushes it forward. That's when you pump grease in and pushes the ball forward, it allows it to a wider area, and the grease will go each side of it then and it'll come out here. So we just have to see, so there's definitely a ball in it, and you can see, just want to make sure that yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Doesn't feel like there's a spring in it at all. Maybe it's too small for a spring, but it still has to be some form of a one-way valve, we'll call it. Okay, so the same crack here. The gun gets a very tight grip on it. Jesus Christ, there's no need for that. I suppose at the end of the day, you never have it in a vice really. So a bit's gone through and a bit's gone around it, so it's a little bit worn, but we're not going to go complaining once it's coming through it. This isn't going to be a part that we're going to go needing to grease super often, but as we saw the Ferguson 20 diesel one, it does really help when they're greased. Keep the water out as well. Now, this particular casting now is a lot heavier, longer, thicker than the Ferguson 20 diesel as well, but sure, it's no wonder because okay, so we're pumping grease up there out of it and all around it. So what I do with the grease that comes around that is, I always have one of these anyway for just greasing things by hand, so I just throw it in there. Maybe using it for a seal or for something, for general greasing, so that's that. So let's get a bit of white paper so we can see the grease is starting to come, and that's pumping out some old dirty grease, so that's good. So let's give it a wiggle there. These are usually, as you can see, a little bit bent. It's just the way they go weight. So what I do is I bend it, I turn it till it's facing that way, and then when I have the transfer box on it, it should by right. Oh geez, we got a lot of grease there. Didn't see that, so we'll just clean that off. Although we never complain about too much grease in this shed, it's the cheapest form of maintenance. Okay, that's good. So we've got them two done. Now I'm going to move around to the kingpins. These are lovely and tight. I've done a good few sets of these in 35s and 20s over the years. I'll bring up the tools. And there's a fair bit of work sometimes in getting out the bushing. Tá bushing an uachtar agus an íochtar. There's one on top and there's one on bottom. That looks to me like 7/16. Is it? Yeah, I think so. Should be, yeah. Fairly tight, probably never out in its life. Now, try and get the socket off is the thing to do, otherwise you... Now, we'll get him out and bring him over to the workbench. It's a lot bigger. Thankfully, this does not look like it's in bad nick. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. So it looks like it's definitely seen a bit of grease. Now these usually have a ball in them. So that grease doesn't look too bad. It goes kind of orangey when it's old, and we want to see this ball pushing in if possible. Get the camera to try and play ball there. Okay, so we push him in, and now there's your spring is working there. So that's going to allow grease through it. I'm fairly certain. I'm not even going to try it. I'm fairly sure, because these bigger grease nipples usually they're harder to block because everything's wider in them. So this is just very much general maintenance. A lot of people wouldn't even bother taking them out. I just like to see what I'm working with. Again, don't want to be pushing in rust and dirt. No, they don't have to be savage tight. They're a nice fine thread anyway. and that's, you can hear it actually starting to, we'll put the camera around the other side here. I like to keep going till I see grease coming. Apologies for that. Took a tumble. Now, I like to see a little bit going till I see a bit of grease coming out there. So the bushings have a kind of a track going around them, and it allows grease all around the kingpin and up to the top. So we can hear something coming there. And down below as well. Okay. Give the steering a bit of a wiggle. A little bit dry looking at the top. But we're definitely making our way along. I do like to see them coming out the top. It is starting to come out the top. That's what I wanted to see. And that'll push out some kind of, you know, dirty kind of grease. So we're happy to get rid of that. So that's okay. Now I want to take out, and take off this lad here as well. These are good age, these ones. So what does that look like? It looks like a 5/16. Okay, that's good. Okay, so it's a little bit mucky, so we'll just give it a quick going over in the vise here. See what's what. Okay, wait a second now. Let me get this. Now. Just firstly make sure all is okay this end. Again, that kind of colour of grease is usually just old grease. And on this end here, I just want to see some form of movement in the little ball there. Okay, so this one actually is on a spring, you can see it there, going in and out. So that's, once that's moving, that's usually all it takes. I put a new rubber boot on this track rod end, so these ones were kind of like nearly kind of they weren't sealed as the man says, it just kind of allowed the grease all around them nearly. It's not the perfect fit, but it's better than nothing. I'm just trying to keep water and stuff like that out of it. The track doesn't be used when spilling rain, obviously, but at the same time, you'd be surprised. Water can get in anywhere. So that's probably enough, and we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see then. So that boot is actually after coming down off it, so I might have to just do a little job on it, and the cable ties coming off it as well. So not ideal after you've just put grease in it, because the bloody thing will want to go anywhere bar where you pull it. Yeah, it's going to be impossible to get that cable tie back on, I think. Yeah, it's just going to go pulling it off, but that's no problem. It's only a cable tie. We can put a new one on. But, at least we have grease there. So I'm going to cut that cable tie and just throw on a new one. What I want to take out is this. So a couple of videos back, I tensioned up the bearings in the steering column by taking all this off, that collar, and it definitely does tighten everything up. So this is a slightly bigger one. I say it's probably 3/8 by the looks of things. I think I might have worked on this one, but let's take him out and have a look and see. Make sure he's yeah, definitely nice clean grease in that, so that's definitely it's definitely a runner. Don't need to be tightening the hell out of them. At the end of the day, when you put grease in them, it's as if there's not water going to be going into them anyway. So that's definitely taking grease there now. 4 good pumps is about enough, I think. We can put a bit of grease around that lad there and him if we want to keep the rust off him. That's kind of the look we're going for this yoke. Getting overly fussed about paint and scratches and dents and all of that. Trying to preserve what we have. That's what I think I'm more interested in doing. This originally would have been chromed like them, and we rub a bit of grease over the chrome nut there as well. Why wouldn't we? Since we have it on the fingers. Okay, so that's some done. I'm trying to see. Originally, the water pump I took out of this tractor actually had a grease nip on it, so they had a greasable bearing and a replaceable seal. But I have a new seal for it. But yeah, I thought it was very fiddly now, to be honest with you. I'm going to get the torch. So I should have it here, and I just want to see about this front pin. I changed the front pin in this, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they suggest just in the workshop manual just to put a drop of oil or 2 in there. So I'll try and do that. I might have to put on the flexible pipe, or I can use this old Wesco oil can here. We'll see. This might just do the trick, being a little bit shorter. So it's grease is what I use when I put it in, of course, first, and then after that it says to, hardly going to be able to get this torch to play ball on it, even just to give me a bit of light down there, because I need 3 hands. Even that'll do. After that, in the workshop manual it says just to shoot in a bit of oil in there, and with plenty of oil in there. There's a bit of white paper. I'm just going to stuff that in and try and keep. It might help to just get the oil going where we want it to go. Down. There's a drain, kind of a hole halfway through them, and what it does is it kind of allows the oil to go where it needs to then. Okay, so that's another little bit done. I'll do the other axle pin myself off camera. There's no point of showing that. And I'll do these. So I think, am I right in saying that's all? The rear wheel bearings don't have grease nipples on them, unlike the Ferguson 20 diesel. How are we looking here? Things a little bit wet. I might need to do a little bit of tightening up there, right? No, it doesn't look bad. That's okay. Yeah, so you know, you just feel the difference when they're greased. Like it's good. Yeah, so we can do our big track rod ends here as well. All the original parts, original track rod ends in these Ferguson 20s with grease nipples on them. So some of the aftermarket ones have these seal for life, as they're called, and they're not. Crap kind of plastic or rubber, cracks, allows water in, allows grease out and all that. So at least these you can change the rubber boot. Behind them I have new rubber boots. So that's not the angle that wants to be at all. Okay, so there's a lot coming out around him, so I think what we need to do with him is he needs to come out. He needs to come out. We need to have a little chat with him in the vice. I think that's what's going to sort him. Is he 5/16? He is, same as the other one. Yeah, we're going to have to have a little chat with this lad. See why isn't he happy to go to work. Okay. Right. What can we do with this lad? So where is our little pick? I get to pick and come back. Okay, so first thing first, it was letting a bit of grease through it, that's okay. So we look at that side there and we'll just put them in, grab them very softly so we don't wreck the threads. And then just check them down here for, so we have the spring working as well, in fairness to it. Okay, so that's good, the spring is working. Right, you can see that's coming through, so there should be no issue. Maybe it was just allowing a lot out around it, and I have an idea why you would do that. Years of, I suppose, people's feet and boots hitting it, probably kind of wore a bit of it off. Wore it down a little bit, and the grease gun then it's just a little bit too wide. The head on it is just a little bit too wide for it. I'd say that's what's happening there. Because it is in the firing line there, alright. Big pair of hobnail boots. So we'll try that again and see does it feel like it's going in a little bit better. Not really, no. I think a lot of it is down to the bloody angle of this grease gun. No, not really. So again, I just try any of that grease that just comes out, rather than just wiping it off with a cloth. Put that back into a grease cartridge that I use for greasing things by hand. You only need a very, very small amount of it. So I presume grease was going into that because it was clear. So we saw it with the WD-40 going through it. So what we'll do is we'll go around the other side and just see if the other one going to be a bit more cooperative. Now, again, most people will just put on the grease gun and shoot it in. But sometimes these just take a little bit of cleaning up in the vise first. We'll do the same with this. At least if we've all been done, we can say then with more certainty that they're working or they're not working. If they're not working, there's usually not a whole lot involved in getting them working. So I must never have shot grease into this, because that's not grease that was born yesterday or today. Okay, let's get the ball, help get the ball moving, get the ball rolling, and we do have our spring working there as well. So that's good. That is usually enough of a test. So, let's see now, does this one shoot all out around it, or does it allow it into the tracker end a little bit better? certain amount out, but I can see it's actually starting to fill it there, so that's good enough. We can hear that sound. That's all we want to hear. A little bit then onto the boot there. Since the going is good, we may as well take out this lad as well and see what he's at. Same crack, give him a quick poke through and a quick start of the penetrating oil just to encourage him. Yeah, that's how they're coming through there as well. So when it does that, you know then that your little ball is working. So that's springing there again. So yeah, we're getting places with that one. Okay, so you can go straight back on. Definitely grease in there, but it looks like it's fairly old. So that's going in lovely, and we're coming out the back there, so that's fine. That's all we want, and that is not too bad. It's great. Definitely great. So we will now, another issue I was having with this was after the spin I saw a bit of oil coming out that stud and here as well, so I had a look. I pulled the half shaft out just a little bit and had a look, and the half shaft seal was starting to look like it was leaking a little bit. These are the exact same seals that are in it, QTP. I ordered them off a man and he sent me QTP. I usually ask for a different make. I just wasn't overly happy with them, I think. It's like the quality of rubber is very plasticky. These were another set that I got from a bearing company, and they're a lot more kind of softer rubber, kind of rubber that's going to seal better. There's a good strong spring on it, so if that continues to leak after I bring it to the show, I'll just pop that in instead of that. I just don't like them, and I think that's what looks like it's sort of going into it. So that was just a small little bit of maintenance and on, you know, taking out grease nipples. I don't think there's any more on the tractor, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's all. As I said, the 20 diesel does have grease nipples both sides, the back, and I do like to keep them 3 darts a year or so, like, of grease. I think that's about it. So that's just a little bit on greasing, and maybe it was, you know, the argument for actually taking out the grease nipples and just give them a quick clean and make sure they're working, make sure the spring is allowing the ball inwards, because that's what's going to happen when the grease comes in. It'll push that ball back, and then it'll go into a wider area. The grease will go around it and it'll go into where it wants. And keep greasing until you see grease coming out around wherever it needs to go into. That's usually enough, and you can just feel everything's a lot happier when it's greased up. You can feel the grease in there as well, you know. You can snugger, kind of a happier kind of a feeling there, you know. Things are happy to move. Looking at some of these track rod ends, they're a little bit of wear in them, but it's just they match the patina of the tractor. Not too bad. Not too bad. So I'm going to leave it there just for that little bit on the grease nipples. So we'll catch you at the next video.